Hello students, welcome to the course on Advanced Digital Communication and the course code is MCE102. This is the course for MTech EC first semester students. Myself, Dr. Shurajit Boshak, Assistant Professor of EC Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Kolkata, and this is my official email address. Today we are going to start lecture number 1 from the chapter Spectral Analysis of Signals, and the topic which would be discussed, that are the concept of signal space coordinate system representing a signal vector by its orthonormal components, measure distinguishability of signals, orthogonal and orthonormal signals. And these topics, the lesson objective of this topic is analyze signal vector representation by creating signal constellation. And this topic is mapped with CO number 1. So let us start lecture number 1 from spectral analysis of signals. Consider the most basic form of a digital communication system, which is shown in the block diagram is in figure 1. A message source emits one symbol in every t seconds, with the symbols belonging to an alphabet of M symbols denoted by M1, M2, M3 up to MM, M capital M. Consider for example the remote connection of two digital computers, with one computer acting as an information source that calculates digital outputs based on observation and inputs fed into it. Next, in any event, priori probabilities P1, say P1, P2, Pm specify the message source output. See the P1, P2, Pm. And in the absence of prior information, it is customary to assume that the M symbols of the alphabet are equally likely. Then we may express the probability that symbol Mi is emitted by the source, which is Pi, which is equal to probability of Mi. That means it is 1 by M for I equal to 1 to M. Next, the transmitter takes the message source output Mi and codes it into a distinct signal SIT, which is suitable for transmission over the channel. The signal SIT occupies the full duration T allotted to symbol Mi. And most important, SIT is a real valued energy signal. That is a signal with finite energy as shown by, which is shown by EI equal to 0 to T SI square T dt. The channel is assumed to have two characteristics. One is the channel is linear with a bandwidth that is wide enough to accommodate the transmission of signal SIT with negligible or no distortion. And the second is the channel noise WT is the sample function of a zero mean white Gaussian noise process. The reasons for this second assumption are that it makes receiver calculations tractable and it is a reasonable description of the type of noise present in many practical communication systems. Now we refer to such a channel as an additive white Gaussian noise, that is AWGN channel, and accordingly we may express the received signal xt equal to SIT plus WT, where t belongs to 0 to t and I equal to 1 to m, and which is shown in the figure, this figure. Now the requirement is therefore to design a receiver which is minimize the average probability of symbol error. Now which is defined as say PE equal to, say, why it is called average. First find out the probability of symbol error, that is probability of M cap. What is M cap? M cap is the estimate of MI. Now estimate of MI, so probability of M cap which is not equal to MI, given that MI is transmitted. So it is a conditional error probability. Now, when it is added for all the symbols, say I equal to 1 to m, it is for a particular symbol mi. Now it is added for all the symbols 1 to m. And this probability after addition, it may be greater than 1. There may be a chance to exceed 1. Then that is why we just average it, that is divided by 1 by m, that means it is multiplied by pi. So as we can get it as a average probability of symbol error. So the resulting receiver is said to be optimum in the minimum probability of error sense. This model actually provides a basis for the design of the optimum receiver, for which we will use geometric representation of the known set of transmitted signal SIT. So now we discuss on geometric representation of signal. The essence of geometric representation of signals is to represent any set of m energy signals, say SIT, as linear combinations of n orthonormal basis functions, where n must be less than equal to m. That is to say, given a set of real valued energy signals, say S1t, S2t up to SMT, SM means M capital, each of duration t seconds, we write SIT equal to sum of j equal to 1 to n Sij phi j t, where t belongs to 0 to t and I equal to 1 to m. And the coefficients of the expansion are defined as Sij equal to 0 to t Sit phi jt dt, where I equal to 1 to m and j equal to 1 to n. Now, the real valued basis functions phi 1t, phi 2t, phi nt are orthonormal. That means it should satisfy the two conditions. One is normalized to have unit energy and other is orthogonality. Now, what is normalized to have unit energy? That means when integration of 0 to t phi z t dt equal to 1, when I equal to j, then this condition is called the normalized to have unit energy. And whenever integration of phi it phi jt dt equal to 0, when I not equal to j, then it is called orthogonality. So the set of coefficients Sij, where j equal to 1 to n, may naturally be viewed as an n-dimensional vector which is denoted by Si. The important point to note here is that vector Si bears a one-to-one relationship with the transmitted signal Sit. Now, how this expression number 5 and 6, can be represented with a block diagram. Now, given expression number for the expression number 5, given the n elements of the vector Si, say Si1, Si2, Sin, operating as input, we may use or to generate the signal Sit, which actually follows directly from expression 5. It consists of a bank of n multipliers, with each multiplier having its own basis functions, followed by a summer or adder circuit. And this scheme is called synthesizer. And now, conversely, given the signal Sit, where I equal to 1 to m, operating as input, we may use the scheme which is shown, which is actually in expression number 6. And the coefficients Si, to calculate the coefficients Si1, Si2, Sin. And this scheme consists of a bank of n product integrator or correlator circuit with a common input, and with each one of them supplied with its own basis function. And this circuit is shown in figure number B, which is called analyzer. Okay, so clear about synthesizer and analyzer? Okay. So we may state that each signal in the set SIT is completely determined by the vector of its coefficient, say Si, equal to Si1, Si2 up to Sin. And the vector Si is called the signal vector. So, if we conceptually extend our conventional notion of 2 and 3-dimensional Euclidean spaces to an n-dimensional Euclidean space, we may visualize the set of signal vectors, say Si, defined a corresponding set of M points in an n-dimensional Euclidean space with mutually perpendicular axis labeled phi 1, phi 2, phi n. And this n-dimensional Euclidean space is called the signal space. And this idea can be viewed here. Say here two signals are present. One is called S1 and other is called S2. And two basis functions are shown, which is phi 1 and phi 2. Now, the S1, according to expression number 5, S1 is equal to S11 phi 1 plus S12 phi 2. Now, what is S11? S11 is the projection of vector S1 along the axis phi 1. Similarly, S12 is the projection of vector S1 along the axis basis function phi 2. Similarly, S2t can be defined as S21 phi 1 plus S22 phi 2. So S21 and S22 again are the projection of vector S2 along the axis phi 1 and phi 2 respectively. So, in an n-dimensional Euclidean space, we may define the length of vector, an angle between these two vectors, which is shown here as a theta. Now, it is customary to denote that the length, also called the absolute value or norm. So, it can be proved that squared length of any signal vector SIT is nothing but the energy of a signal SIT. So, squared length of any signal vector SI is equal to the energy of a signal. The proof is shown in the next slide. First, I am showing in the proof. So, square length of any signal vector SI is defined to be inner product or dot product of SI with itself, which can be represented as, it is a norm square norm, SIT transpose into SI, that is the inner product, which is sum of Sij square. Now, by definition, the energy of a signal SIT of duration t second, which is EI, equal to 0 to t SI square t dt. Now, substituting 5 into 13, we can get EI equal to 0 to t sum of j equal to 1 to n Sij phi j t, and for one SI and another SI for k equal to 1 to n, sum of k equal to 1 to n Sik phi k t dt. So EI equal to J equal to 1 to N after rearranging it, and K equal to 1 to N Sij Sik integration of phi j t phi k t dt. Now, since phi j t form an orthonormal set with the two conditions, 7, 15 reduces to now EI. If it is a orthonormal, that means if normalized to have first condition, that is the normalized to have unit energy, then this should be 1 whenever J equal to K. So energy is, which is energy equal to Sij square, which is summation over J equal to 1 to N Sij square, which is nothing but your squared of norm, or that is the squared of the vector length. So this shows that energy of a signal SIT, it is proved that energy of a signal SIT is equal to the squared length of the signal vector SI. Now again, it can be easily proved that in the case of a pair of signals SIT and SKT represented by the signal vector Si and Sk, we may also show that integration over 0 to t SIT SKT dt, which is Si transpose into Sk. So this equation states that the inner product of the signals SIT and SKT over the interval 0 to t using the time domain representations is equal to the inner product of their respective vector representations Si and Sk. And this is yet another useful relation involving the vector representation of the signals Si and SIT and SKT is described by norm of Si minus Sk square. That is called basically this without square, norm of Si minus Sk. This is called actually Euclidean distance, say Dik, which is, and the square of Euclidean distance, which is summation over J equal to 1 to N Sij minus Skj whole square. So which is 0 to t Sit minus Skt whole square dt. And to complete the geometric representation of energy signals, we need to have a representation for the angle theta ik, which is obtained between two signals, say Si and Sk. By definition, the cosine of the angle theta ik is equal to the inner product of these two vectors divided by the product of their individual norms, which is cos theta ik equal to Si transpose into Sk by norm of Si into norm of Sk. The two vectors Si and Sk are thus orthogonal or perpendicular to each other if their inner product is 0, in which case theta ik equal to 90 degree. So this condition is intuitively satisfied. Now the proof of the first expression, that is 0 to t SIT SKT dt equal to SI transpose into SK. So the proof is simply 0 to t SIT, that means summation of our j equal to 1 to n Sij phi j t, and for SKT, that is for summation, for actually it is followed by from equation number 5. So summation of our L equal to 1 to n SKL phi L T dt. So summation of j equal to 1 to n and summation of L equal to 1 to n Sij SKL 0 to t phi j t phi L T dt. Now since phi j t form an orthonormal set with the two conditions, say this is whenever j equal to L, it is 1. So SIT normalized to have unit energy. So 0 to t SIT SKT dt equal to j equal to 1 to n Sij Skj, that is SI transpose into Sk. Okay, and the proof of the second, that is the Euclidean distance. That means the Euclidean distance is I norm of Si minus Sk whole square, which is j equal to 1 to n Sij minus Skj whole square, which is 0 to t Sit minus Skt whole square dt. Now, the square of the norm Si minus Sk is actually the inner product. So, Si minus Sk transpose into Si minus Sk. Just simply multiplied it, Si transpose into Si plus Sk, simple mathematics, Sk transpose into Sk minus 2 Si transpose into Sk. So 0 to t Si square t dt plus 0 to t Sk square t dt minus 2 0 to t Sit Skt dt. So that is equal to 0 to t Sit minus Skt whole square into dt. Okay, clear? Now I am showing you another part which is called Scratch inequality. It is shown in the data transmission part, but now I am proof it. The application of Scratch inequality we already shown in the in the match filter part. What is the Scratch inequality? Now integration of minus infinity to plus infinity. So S1t S2t dt overall square is less than or is equal to product of the individual term. So consider any pair of energy signal S1t and S2t. The Scratch inequality states that minus infinity integration of minus infinity to plus infinity S1t S2t dt whole square is less than or is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity individual square S1 square t dt into minus infinity to plus infinity s2 square t dt. So overall square is less than or is equal to individual square, product of the individual square. And the equality sign holds, equal sign holds if and only if s2t equal to c into s1t, where c is any constant. Now next is how to prove it. From the figure 4, using actually in the last expression, we have evaluated the cos theta, this term, expression number 11 in figure 4. That is, if a theta angle between two vector S1 and S2t, so it is represented as S1 transpose into S2 in the numerator, and in the denominator is the norm of S1 and S2, product of the norm of S1 and S2. See, so cos theta equal to S1 transpose into S2 by norm of S1 and norm of S2. So S1 transpose into S2, already we have evaluated it. That is, it is minus infinity to plus infinity S1t, S2t dt. And it is a norm. Norm means energy, root over energy, square root of energy. So square root of energy, that means minus infinity to plus infinity S1 square t dt. That is actually represents your energy of signal S1t, and which is square root. That means because it is already proved that square of the norm is actually represents your energy of signal S1t, and minus infinity to plus infinity S2 square t dt, and its root over that represents, so energy, square root of energy S2t, that represents the norm of S2. Now we know that the value of the cos theta is always less than equal to 1. So if this value is less than equal to 1, then we can, if we simplify it, then it will automatically comes expression number 17. And after squaring it, because value of cos theta is less than equal to 1, now after rearranging it and square, then automatically it comes 17, expression number 17. And we know that the mod of cos theta, that means the maximum value of cos theta is 1. And if and only if you have to take the cos theta is 1, then the condition is must be S2 equal to C into S1. Then only we can get the maximum value of cos theta equal to 1. So in that way, we can easily prove the Scrooge inequality. Okay. So in this class, we have shown that we have studied how a signal can be represented in an n-dimensional form if the basis functions are given. Now in the next class, I will show you how basis functions can be constructed if the signals are known. And this scheme is called Graham-Smith orthogonalization procedure. So let us stop here. Thank you. Thank you so much.